Hey guys, how we all doing today? I got my good friend Kyle, who I met in Hollywood, California. He had his own channel called What We Believe or What You Believe, and I'm going to leave a link in the bottom. But this is just, two friends getting together, talking about some truth and discussing different things that we have come across lately. So forgive the semi quality of the recording here is my first Zoom. Not so good with Zoom, but all right, we'll get into it.
All right. I'm going to start this recording now. You are now officially being recorded. Everything you say can and will be used against you in a court of public opinion.
Dude, the fact you just read that to me sketches me out.
Right. You're like, oh shit. Like, my
No, that just means like you're a cop.
That's right. I got to tell you, right? I got to tell you I'm a cop if I'm a cop.
No, actually you don't. Cops can lie to you.
I'm pretty sure they lie every day. That's what they do. That's how they entrap most people.
Well, if you're not doing anything bad, they can't entrap you, right?
No, that's not true either. That's not true either. That's not anywhere near true.
Here, let me shed some light on the subject.
Yeah.
Oh, wrong light. There we go. Oh, that's better.
This is one of my favorite. See if you can hear these. Let's see. I don't know if you'll be able to hear him so well as.
The third guy shut the fuck up, and the DA did not prosecute the guy who shut the fuck up. They can't prove what you were doing there. If you're a customer, patient, walked in to go to the bathroom, they don't know. You got to shut the fuck up, and it's Shut the Fuck Up Friday, so review the script. What do you say when the cop first pulls you over?
Why'd you pull me over?
And when he keeps asking questions?
Not discussing my day.
And they ask more questions?
Am I being detained or am I free to go?
And if detained, what do you say?
I invoke the fifth.
And then what do you do?
You shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up Friday. Never answer questions when the cops ask.
Have safe holidays.
Tip of the day.
I got a little commentary on that. So, like before Corona, if you did that, cops would automatically be like, "Oh, this is going to be a troublemaker," right? But now that the Corona is happening, if you they totally understand, they're like, "Okay," you can be like, "The Corona, it's going to get me."
It's right. It's the Corona. Yeah, that was not the one I was looking for.
That's all right. I get the gist.
No, you don't. You not at all. It's completely. That
could read your mind.
That is not. Not.
I know what you're thinking.
No.
You don't even know what you're thinking, Kyle. Let me tell you what you're thinking.
That's right. Well, fuck. I tell you what, I'll send it to you later. It's basically, I love the guy who's just back there puffing on his cigar, but basically they come up and they go, today's lesson for Friday. Okay. When you get pulled over by the cops, what do you do? And the guy's like, shut the fuck up. He's like, that's right. Shut the fuck up. He's like, and if the cop asks you anything, what do you say? And he's like, shut the fuck up. He's like, that's right. Shut the fuck. I've never seen that one. That one actually looked like he was trying to give you some information. But the only video I've ever seen of those two clowns is the shut the fuck up video, which makes me laugh every time. So I'm just not sure where I'll have to look for it. So I won't waste your time looking for it, but it's pretty funny. But no, I mean, there are many ways they can. So I guess we'll officially start this. And so now welcome to my channel this time, The Truth or The Truthor, whichever one, where we learn about, is this a truth or is this bullshit? You know what I mean? Is this something else? And everybody, I'd like you to say hello to my very special, you know what? I just realized too, when I played back the video that played back only had you in the video. So let me figure out how to share the screen real quick.
Oh, it says you're recording in the corner.
Yes. So yes, good. Well, What in the holy hamstring here? So I need us side by side is what I need. Hold on. Maybe that's my view. There we go. So now we're side by side. So boy, do I hope that that's switched to this screen. Okay. Welcome everybody to The Truth Or, where we figure out, is this the truth or is this something else? I got my very special guest here, Kyle Greer. And
What's up?
And I know Kyle because I did shows for him when I first, started becoming enlightened many, many years ago, which is What We Believe. Is that right?
What do you believe?
What do you believe? What do you believe?
Everybody remembers that. It's the best thing I did.
He had a really good intro. What do you believe? And it was great because that was the first time that I had learned that my buddy Michael, our mutual actor friend, we're all actors in Hollywood, although Kyle said, screw you guys, and moved to North Carolina, where he got all cleaned up. He cut his hair. He looks like a Hollywood guy. Now that he moved back he did not look like that when he was out here. He looked like a North Carolina guy. So go figure.
It's the inversion, man. It's the inversion.
It's the inversion, right? Got to keep them guessing, keep them all.
Right.
They're like, what are you, some kind of city boy, huh? What are you doing out here in North Carolina? But anyway, I did Kyle's show, What Do You Believe? And it was amazing. And basically what we're going to do today is what we did on his show, which is just two of us just start getting into stuff that he's researched and come across, and sharing ideas, which is something we don't do enough. Most people don't share their ideas. They're afraid of what the other person's going to say. They're afraid they're going to offend. But here we do not care if we offend you at all, in the least bit. That's the last thing on my mind, is if I'm going to offend anyone, because you know what, I got a good heart, and I know Kyle's got a good heart, and we're only here to try to share some information. And you know, I don't bring Kyle on here either because he's going to, stroke my ego or agree with me. I'm sure there's things we're going to come across that he doesn't particularly agree with me. And that's how we grow. We grow by having a disagreement and debating it out. And all those words are not supposed to be negative. They've been made negative, where debating is now an argument. It's not an argument. It's us discussing constructively, and I give my side, he gives my side. And if we both walk away at the end of the day disagreeing, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. We do not have to agree. So
we can still be friends.
Yeah, and then the idea is to leave amicably so that we can come back and discuss again,
That's right.
So, because even though you disagree on one thing, I'm sure you got to look at all the things you do agree on. It's funny. I'll talk to my mom and we'll agree on like a great many things. And then we get to Jesus, and that's where it all falls apart. and nothing, Matt, like, we can agree 95%, but when we get to that last 5%, that last 5% for her is 105%. Like, I mean, once we get to that wall, once she throws Jesus out there and I don't agree with the way she thinks about all that, like, the conversation's over. She also uses it for defense. When I'm talking about something, she's like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. You don't know Jesus. It's like, whoa, we weren't even talking about religion. Like, let's not bring religion into everything as a defense. But so anyway, Kyle, welcome, man. It's so nice to see you. Yeah, dude, y'all looking there, spiffy there, clean shaven, haircut. Yeah. So tell us what's it been like since you moved back to the country?
It's been nice. It's been very nice. One of the main reasons I moved back was to hang out with my family, to see them more. Because I feel like my value system changed. It's right. So like if I went to California, because, if you want to be a professional actor, you got to go where the professionals are, right? Well, you're also giving away you're sacrificing the time with your family if you're that far away. And it was like, well, do I care more about how much money I make or how much time I spend with my family? Like, and let's say my parents passed on to the other side. It's like, how much money would I spend to have 2 more days with them, 1 more day with them, an hour with them, like, but even if you had the money to spend, you still can't get that time back. So for me personally, it's like just being with my family was like the biggest thing. And ever since I've moved back, I've spent a lot of time with my family and helping them out. Right now I'm living with my sister and her family in Wake Forest, North Carolina. I originally moved back to Wilmington because there was a little bit of a film thing going on down there. But it's not like, it's just not going like you would want it to, there's not that many opportunities. And also, like, I was SAG and I was doing extra work, but North Carolina is a right to work state. So even though I was SAG, I still get paid as a non-SAG person. So I was getting $64 for an 8-hour day when I usually get double that. So it just wasn't worth it, right?
SAG?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they just don't care if you're SAG. Like, it doesn't matter. Everybody gets paid the same thing, whether you're SAG or not.
Interesting.
But it's okay. Because, I mean, since I've been here, I have an agent in Charlotte. But since I've been here, I've had more auditions while I've been in North Carolina than in the past 6 months than when I was in Los Angeles for the past 2 years.
A handsome devil with a full set of teeth is hard to come by in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I guess so.
By the way, if anybody didn't notice, Kyle is not living in the mountains. He's balling. If you can see that crown molding up on the top of the ceiling there, like, these guys are not slumming it at all.
Well, my sister and her husband are doing well. Like, they do all right, right?
Yeah.
Me personally, I'm better than I was. I have more. I'm able to save more money here than
sure
when I was in Los Angeles, because the rent's so expensive, gas, food, taxes.
Oh yeah.
Everything. It's just so much. So it's like, and also it's like I can buy a $500,000 house here and you get like an acre of land, you get like 3 stories. There you get like a shack and like a little plot of land.
You get a 1-bedroom condo maybe for $500,000 here.
Yeah, and I want my
area.
Yeah, I want my buck to go longer. So it's just, there's like a laundry list of things of why it's so much better for me personally to be in North Carolina.
Well, and I'll tell you too, like, everything's gone online now. So like, so I mean, like, if you want to, you create your own content. That's really where it's at. You take that money you'd spend in rent and all that other stuff and create your own content.
Yep, totally.
That's what I'm thinking.
I've been investing a lot, like all of my extra money, just into like mainly crypto and stocks and stuff like that. But I'm just trying to save up to buy my own house so I can like do my own thing, get my own piece of land, have a garden, have some kids, maybe get a boat or something. I don't know, just like a fishing boat, nothing like like a little John boat to go fishing with.
Sure.
Yeah. Been doing a lot more fishing and stuff since I've been here. I mean, just spending more time with my parents, been spending more time with my grandparents. It's been nice. It's been super nice.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. a lot of people will ask me all the time, like, why are you still in California?
Yeah, dude, I have no idea why you are.
Well, for me, I am outside so much. Like, it's, I don't mind having a tiny little shack because I'm never home anyway. So it's like, I pay for the perfect weather. Like, it was 81 degrees yesterday, beautiful, sunny. Like, it was, I was as naked as I could be without getting arrested. And it was, that's why I like to stay here. And who knows though, because I definitely feel, I feel the dark cloud of communism that is rampant in this area. I am the pariah. Everybody's back to the mask pretty hardcore. Like my particular neighborhood, I live in a pretty nice little neighborhood, and my particular neighborhood actually started to relax for just a little bit. And I kept telling everyone, like, this is coming back. As soon as flu season hit and people start getting the flu, immediately it's going to be COVID. People don't understand that COVID is the flu. It is. It's a new strain. We've always had new strains, and there's just absolutely nothing different from this one than the other one. And I've talked to lots of other in the field practitioners. I've been a health expert myself for 11 years. And so I'm really good at analyzing what is real and what is bullshit pumped through the, medical system, because the medical system is highly driven on propaganda as well.
Well, they need to make that dollar bill, y'all.
Dollar bill, y'all. And I think it goes way beyond that. Like, just like all the little kids that were in, I was talking to my neighbor yesterday actually about how did they get thousands and thousands of kids to wear little brown shirts and do Heil Hitler together, thousands of them in a row. I remember when I first learned about World Trade Center in like 2014, 2015, World Trade Center 7, that was my red pill for me. And I was
yeah, totally.
That was the one that made me go, wait, what? And then it exploded. And now I have studied everything about every subject. I'm always surprised if somebody can bring up a subject that I haven't got into yet. And, but I'm always like waiting, like, come on, bring it on. Like, I'll check it out. I don't dive, I don't get stuck in those ruts for months at a time anymore. Like I'll go through it and then go, yeah, okay. And then move on to the next.
Yeah. You gotta let it process a little bit. And sometimes like while you're out in the world, like things will trigger that idea. You're like, oh, what are, it's like, it was just, things are connected without a doubt is all I'm saying. And when you're out in your life, like you'll hear people say things and you're just like, oh man, you have a different belief system as far as what's going on in a government situation. And then it's hard, like, especially with my family, I've been telling like having conversations with my family about like Building 7 and all that kind of stuff. And they just think I'm flat out crazy.
Yeah.
They're like, what are you talking about, Kyle? There's Kyle. He's such a weird dude. And I'm like, yeah, all right.
California changed him.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
It was fine until then.
Yeah. But now I've been trying to tell them about crypto and stuff too. It's like, no, can't tell them anything. So whatever. Life goes on. But anyways, what's the big topic you want to talk about? You any
Well, we'll do what we usually do, which is just kind of make our way through. I guess since you mentioned crypto a couple times, I'll tell you, I'm not as familiar with crypto other than what?
I just said it one time. You said it a couple times.
No, you did. I'll play back the recording. You already at the beginning of your intro, you mentioned you were investing your extra money into crypto. So anyways, so I guess maybe it was twice. Couple.
Yes,
that's couple.
Yes,
two is
yes.
Couple. So
Correct.
Enough for me to go, okay, you're talking about crypto.
You're listening. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
Hey, I'd be worthless if that was an acquired taste too. I had to learn how to listen. I'll tell you, that is one thing I find most irritating about people in this world is they do not listen. They will hear the first like part of your thought. I always will say something, take a breath, and then I will finish what I'm saying because I'm not in a rush to hurry up and get it all out, but right. I'll say the first part of my thought and then people will immediately jump in and be like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, that's not what I was talking about. Yeah. Like you just totally jumped in the middle. Like, well, finish, go ahead, finish. And I'm like, well, what's the rush? Let's just, I'll listen to everything. Anyway, people don't listen, but so it was an acquired thing. And I didn't listen before, I had a lot of life changes that, came about in the last 6-7 years. So I had to learn how to listen. And I find it so much more enriching for me to wait until there's a long pause behind what you're saying, until I have the full thought so I can respond intelligently instead of us walking on top of each other and not really caring deeply about what the other person's saying. So that's why I was saying, like, I personally, I don't give two craps about crypto right now because I don't even have anything to buy crypto with. So, and it's not something I've really studied at all. Off the top of my head, I would say it's a digital thing. You're going into the digital beast. I don't see how that's any better than anything else. However, for the listeners out there, for people that are watching this and going, I've learned a little bit about crypto, or I've considered it, or I'm into it. I know I have a friend of mine who his Bitcoin went from like 4,000 to 34,000. You know, so I'm like, if it's too good to be true, it's probably gonna be. So anyway, for the enlightenment of everybody else, not for me. Although I'm interested to hear what makes you so on fire about it. Why don't you tell me a little bit about what you think crypto is? Or what you know crypto is, and what you think you know crypto is.
I gotcha.
And, yeah,
for
enlighten me.
I consider everything a tool, right? So like money, like regular old money, you can use that dollar bills or whatever to buy something that's going to help people or buy something that's going to destroy people, right? You can buy the internet. The internet right now currently is connecting us to have a conversation, to work things out, but it's also enslaving people's minds at the same time. So it's all about how you use that tool in your intentions for that tool, right? So I think crypto is just another tool. I think it'll help people that don't, because I mean, the whole banking system is based off of people who already had that control, right? And they've used that control forever and manipulated the silver, like JP Morgan's manipulated the silver market. You know, all these big companies have just controlled how the value of things are, right? Because they can see it coming. And I think crypto is just a tool. Like you can use it to do good, you can use it to do bad. It's all your intentions to do it. But personally, I think of crypto more like the internet, and it's not a phrase that I've came up with. I've heard it from somewhere else, but it's the internet of value. So like the internet has enabled people to spread information very quickly, but you can't spread value, like send money very quickly. Another thing, saying, or let me just give specifics. So there's a cryptocurrency called XRP, and their CEO puts it very, very eloquently where he gives this scenario always. And it's like, you can take, it's faster for you to get in a plane with $10,000 and fly to another country than do you transfer a wire of $10,000 to another country. Like that's our banking system right now. So that's what crypto is helping doing is being able to transfer value faster, right? And there's things called Nostro and Vostro accounts where companies have to keep money. Like say you have a company in China where you're creating a product. Well, you have to take dollars and change them into yuan so you can buy stuff in yuan in China, right? And therefore, you have to have like money just sitting there, like ready to be spent, because it's like an insurance policy. You don't know what's going to happen. So you have money just sitting there. Well, if you have a way where you can just transfer it from one currency to another very quickly, then that opens up your liquidity where you can use that money that would be your insurance policy to buy other things, to invest in other projects. I just think it's going to move value faster, right? And right now there's 6.
Are you trying to tell me that you do business in China?
I'm trying to tell you I'll do business all over the world, depending on, who has the product. You want to support USA all the way, right? But 95, like you were saying, I was at Walmart earlier today getting my oil changed, and you're
Walmart.
You're helping the beast or whatever. But I mean, even with a lot of
what about Freddy's Oil and Lube? Yeah,
I got you. But even with all those little companies and stuff like that, or a lot of American products, like the sub products that they use to make their products come from somewhere else to another country. Like everything is not sourced from the United States. Like you have to get other things from other places because it just doesn't exist right in your country.
Yeah. Or actually, I should be saying, what about you doing your own damn oil? Like, are you turning into a snowflake over there in North Carolina? What's happening over there?
What do you mean?
Doing your, wait, how cold is it outside over there?
It's like 40 degrees. It's not so bad.
It's a little chilly. I'd probably go to Walmart too.
But I mean, I'd start my own oil company if I had an oil plot, but I feel like they've already been picked up. Anyways, the idea of the crypto is just, there's just so many
let's
new
say
things that are going on.
The international aspect, let's put that aside, because just for the average person who's not doing business with China, whoever's like, I mean, for somebody who's just here, like, what's the benefit of getting involved with crypto just as an American who's always going to do American business?
I got you. Well, there are American crypto companies, XRP being one of them. But I had a good idea. I was going to go for it. American company. Oh, damn. I really have. I still have notes. Yeah. Damn. This is great. Don't you love it? Flat airtime.
I do. Well,
right.
let me retrain your thought then.
Retrain my thought here.
For crypto, what is the benefit to you putting your money into this cryptocurrency? Isn't this sort of another wagering system like the stocks, where they could crash anytime?
Totally, and everything could crash, right?
That's correct.
Anything could crash. They could cut out our whole internet if they wanted to. Like
toilet paper won't crash though.
Huh?
Toilet paper won't crash.
Toilet paper won't crash though. But here's a good statistic that I've heard recently is that we've printed more money in the past 8 months than has ever been printed ever, right? You know what? They can keep printing it, right?
Oh yeah.
So you're losing the value. You're literally losing the value of your money. Like even if you're a good person and you don't like risk it on stocks or anything like that, you just invest it. Like you just keep it in a bank account. You're literally losing your money.
Correct.
And you spent your life creating that money. So you're losing your life to nothing. To just let it sit there, right? So it's all about making sure your money is like moving and creating itself. I read this book called The Richest Man in Babylon, where it's like if you really want to like become where you have more money, you're getting your money to work for you. So every dollar you make, that dollar is a slave to you, right? And that dollar is working for you, right? And like stocks and stuff like that, if you're into the right stocks, you can make good money, but it's like where can you other than like stocks and stuff, you got real estate, but then you have the real estate market. It's going through the roof right now because of good loans, but it's hard to build houses because everybody's building houses. Like products are going up as far as house building products, like 2x4s and concrete and all this kind of shit, because it's in higher demand because people are building more. And it's like all that's controlled by somebody else, right? So I feel like with cryptocurrency, I personally believe you could put your money into it, depending on which one it is, and it will maintain its value longer than if you just had it in cash, per se, or just gold or silver or something like that. Because you have these, like I said earlier, JP Morgan or other huge investment banks that can buy way more than you can. So then they can control that supply. And if you can control the supply, you can jack it up however you want, no matter what it is, whether it's milk, whether it's gold, whether it's any soybeans, any kind of commodity. It's all about who has the most money and who can buy the most of that thing and the demand for that. It's a basic 101 economics kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I personally believe that crypto is the way to go, like for future investing.
But listen, if the value of the dollar goes down, the value of the crypto goes down, right?
Not necessarily. Like, let's say you have a Mickey Mantle baseball card that's worth $200 million, right? Well, if the value of the dollar's going down, that value of the Mickey Mantle card actually goes up because you have to have more dollars to buy that Mickey Mantle card. Because
well, if it was valued at $2 million and the dollar falls, then the dollar value of that card is going to fall too. And let's say people need toilet paper. It might be 2 million rolls of toilet paper instead of $2 million. It depends what is currency at that moment. You know what I mean? So they could change the currency at any time.
Right.
Just like they've been talking about the Amero and, you know, other types of currency.
Yeah, well, China's having a digital yuan where it's like, instead of printing dollars or printing the physical dollar or physical wands, it's just a number, electronic number. And that is just based off of an algorithm in a computer. Like, that's it, bro.
Hey, we need another billion in there. Boop.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, I know.
But even that is better than actually spending the money to get the paper, print the paper. You got to pay the ink. You have to put security stuff inside of that to make sure people couldn't print more of those at their house and just scan it in and just print them off in their printer.
So what happens when they print $1 billion just randomly? How does that happen? Let's say for America, for example.
So right now,
what happens if they print another $1 billion? How does that happen? How are they able to do that?
Well, right now they just put it in a computer and they buy bonds. And they just manufacture like money, and then the money goes to buy bonds.
Create?
What's that?
What does that create?
Inflation.
Yes, it definitely creates inflation. But what does that create for the American people?
Nothing. Like it just
debt.
Yeah. It's more debt.
Debt-based.
More debt. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I was trying. I was like, I'm gonna get him to say debt, and I'm like, all right, screw it. I'll just say debt.
Yeah.
So it's all a debt-based system. This is how they can go to digital currency and create more debt. So this is what I've been getting into for the last I'd say last year and a half. I kind of started learning a little bit more about how to, that we're bound to, well, first of all, that the United States is a corporation.
Yes.
Period. It is not a de jure government by any means whatsoever. It is strictly a corporation that has taken on the role as our government because we have slowly created contracts with them by being fooled. Our parents were fooled and their parents were fooled before them. But it all goes back to 1933 House Joint Resolution 192, where they took away all the money and real assets from the American people and gave them a credit system.
Right.
So they took all the gold and all the silver and they said, tell you what, instead, we're going to give you credits. Okay. And whatever you need, you just let us know what you need and we give you credits to buy whatever you need. That's basically the gist of 192. And if you go read it, you can understand it a little bit more. But they gave us a credit system. But what they're doing is they're running up a debt system because they are not using our credits. They are merely creating debt. As a corporation, the corporation has to zero their books every year. So if they put the debt onto the American people, they get to continue to zero out their books. And yes, like you said, when they create this debt, it's causing more inflation. Unless we go back and we cancel the debt and try to bring the debt ceiling down, so to speak.
Right. But like a little inflation is supposed to be okay because you have more people being born every year and you want the money to you want to be more money out there, right? And also entices companies to invest their money and not just hoard it on company to a certain extent. But it's a crazy, like,
You mean companies or corporations? Like, I mean, you're talking about bigger
it's in the
capital
same-
gains corporations.
yeah, yes, of
Okay,
course.
not your average trade and commerce of
No, no.
private.
I'm
Right.
talking about like BlackRock, you know, freaking, and all these other really huge, amazing, like have $7 trillion under management kind of situations where like there's just people just like way too much power, you know, because they control so much debt. They own your debt, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a loan shark, right? Where they buy up your debt and they'll break your knees if you don't pay them, right?
Well, and here's
And then-
another aspect to that is you don't have a contract with those people. So, for example, let's say you default on your credit card payment and then they sell your debt to a third-party collector. All you
Right.
have to say to them, the only thing you have to say to them is, I don't have a contract with you. Don't call me again. That's it. That is the end of that. They don't have a contract with you. They have no bind with you. They have no legal standpoint whatsoever. And in fact, what the credit card company has already done is canceled that. I shouldn't even say cancel, because here's what actually happens. When you get a credit card, what do you give them?
your information,
Your information, which includes what?
your credit score,
Your social security number.
social security number.
There
Yeah.
you go. So you give them your social security number, which is a 9-digit bank routing number. Okay. Why do they want your 9-digit bank routing number? Well, they want your 9-digit bank routing numbers because they're going to use it to access the credits to give back to you. They're going to give you your own credits as credit. You are the creditor, not them. They're a broker. So what the credit card company does is they take your 9-digit bank routing number. They go and they pull out, let's say, $15,000 worth of credits. They give you a little plastic card, which is a debit card, and they say, go ahead and use it. So you're using your own credits, and then they're asking you to pay them interest on top of it for their services.
They're
When-
a middleman. That's
They're the
like
middleman.
yeah.
And what happens is if you don't pay that back, it's not their money. So the only thing they care about is getting their interest, but it's your credits that they already have. So you could bypass that. There's a way to bypass that and gain access to your own account. That is what I've been getting into.
Oh yeah. Tell me how to do that? I want to do that.
Right. Exactly. Well, and the first thing is to understand that there are two different people. You know, there is Kyle M. Greer in all capital letters. And then there is Mr. Greer of the family Greer, given name Kyle. That is the way you actually write your name. What they did at birth is they gave you a birth certificate and a social security number, and they flipped your name backwards. And they created a corporation out of your backwards name. Okay, because your surname is your family name. And if you look up the definition for surname, it's superior, above. It is the first name. The last should be first, the first should be last. The last name is actually the first name.
Yep, I got you.
So you should be writing your name Greer, Kyle. That's how I sign my name all the time. I always sign it Thor, Ryan. And then of course you have the father, you know, your given name, your family name, the son. Right. So Greer's a father, that's the father name, Kyle, the son, and then you have your ghost name. So there's your Trinity right there. Okay. We'll find a couple different Trinities, obviously, but that's a big one right there that made me go, son of a bitch, you know, like Father, Son, and Ghost. Okay. So what they did was they flipped them backwards. They created a corporation. And what you can do, what I'm doing right now is I filed an S4. I'm waiting to get my estate EIN number. So what I did was I filed an S4, which is claiming to as the executor over my Social Security account. Okay. I'm coming in and saying that's a dead person right there. Okay. Ryan Thor is a dead person. That's a dead entity attached to an account. I'm going to be the executor, Mr. Thor, over that estate, because that's what it is. It's an estate account. And then they send you an employee identification number where now you have a bank routing number to do business with that account. And then you file a Form 56F, which is fiduciary responsibility over it. You cancel out all the other people that are doing business with that account, and you become the only administrator of that account.
That sounds like a good how-to video to make.
Yes, yes. Well, and the reason I haven't done it yet is because I'm doing steps at a time. Once I actually have success, and I go, okay, I have been able to, successfully execute one of these processes. Because then here's what you do after that, is there are 1099As, 1099Bs, and 1099C forms from the IRS. The 1099A is an acquisition or abandonment form. You can acquire things like a car by filing a 1099. So we were talking about debt before. Ford Company doesn't take like $1 billion of their own money and say, here, let's buy new cars for the next year. They don't use their own money to buy vehicles to try to sell for the next year. That's not how Ford Company works. Same with Walmart. Okay. I'll speak your language. Walmart. Okay. So Walmart doesn't just put a bunch of stuff out there and hope that people buy it or they're out, right? What they do is they have direct access to the treasury. They take the amount of credits they want from the American people, they stock their stores, and then they get you to pay out of your back pocket for things that have already been paid with the American credit. Okay?
Yeah.
That's how corporations work. Just like banks. When banks give you a loan for $100,000, the bank isn't going back there and grabbing a satchel of $100,000 of their own money. They get your social security number and they go and open a line of credit for you. And they give you, that's why if you look at
Fractional reserve banking is what it's called.
Well, yeah, but that would mean that they're still giving you 10% of the assets that they have. And if you look at a banking charter, like if you wanted to start your own bank, you got to have, say, $7 million. But part of that charter in there says you cannot loan out your own assets at all. So they're not loaning you any of their assets when they give you a loan. They're simply accessing your credit and giving you your own credit and then telling you to pay it back. And you don't have to pay your own bank back. So in that case, if you wanted a loan, so to speak, you would, let's say you want to go buy a car, you take a 1099C, which if you've never seen a 1099C, a 1099C is for canceling debt. How come they're not teaching us this in school? How is there a 1099C, right? Go figure. When I saw this, I'm like, wait, what? There's a form out there to cancel debt. I've never even heard of canceling debt until this very moment. I was like, wait, what do you mean cancel debt?
Is that different from bankruptcy?
It's totally different. Totally different. Totally. The United States corporation, all corporations are operating under bankruptcy. And get in Anderson's Law Dictionary and look up what bankrupt actually means. So again, the definitions they tell us are generalized versions of what they actually mean. Okay, these guys are all operating in fraud is what it is. So they're accessing the American credit, and it's up to us. The way they set this up is they said, we're going to give you what you need. All you have to do is file a 1099C, cancel the debt, and file a 1099A to pick up the abandoned property. So when you cancel the debt, let's say a car, for example, you got a $30,000 car you want to go get. Okay, so you go to the car company and you give them a 1099C, you send the A copy to the IRS, because now the IRS is going to go and collect their income tax from them. Okay, income, again, is not what we make. That's our labor, okay? They can't tax labor. They can tax income, though. And income is the usury from the Federal Reserve notes, okay? So usury is making money from money, all right? You working and using your labor, that's not usury, that's labor. They can't tax that. But if they trick you, that's how they're getting everybody to, just like the car. So you'll go file a 1099-C, you'll cancel the debt behind that car, because that's how the car company got the car in the first place. They used the American credit to get that car onto their lot. Okay, so there's a debt behind that car. So they can either get you to pay out of your back pocket $30,000 to pay that debt off, or you file a 1099-C, you cancel the debt, then you give them a 1099-A to acquire or pick up the abandoned property. Once you cancel the debt, there's no debt behind that. Now it's considered abandoned property. You pick it up with a 1099-A.
So I don't have to give car companies money. I just give them a form.
That's exactly right. You have credit.
And I'm like, yeah, sure, we'll take this. Don't worry about the money.
That's exactly right. Believe it or not.
I'm really excited to see you do this.
I know. Everybody said the same thing too. Everybody, which is why you have to go through the proper steps first. I can't just go out and run out. I mean, actually, I could. They're saying that you can do this with just your social security number, and I'm actually gonna try. I'm not gonna try it with a car just yet, because when I get the car, I don't want to have to register it. So I'm trying to figure out the process of dissolving the contract with the driver's license, because you do not need a driver's license. This is another thing I learned. I went through a court case where I have a 32-page memorandum of law that says we do not need a driver's license. It's cited in Supreme Court cases. A driver's license is a commercial term. Okay, that's why Uber drivers and Lyft drivers, they don't need to go get a different license to conduct commerce on the road, because the driver's license you're going to get is already a commercial license. We just don't know it. The word driver is a commercial term. You are a traveler. That is a common law term. So what they do is they use language to fool people into identifying themselves as something that they're not. But if you tell someone, hey, I'm gay, you know what I mean? They're just going to take you at your word for it, right? You don't have to suck some cocks to show them. You know? You're just telling them. But maybe you don't know what the word gay means, and you're identifying as the wrong thing, and you just don't know.
Happy. It means I'm happy.
That's right. I'm very, very happy. So what I learned through this court case was that the word driver is commercial. The word operator is commercial. The word traveler is not. The word motor vehicle is a commercial term, meaning a vehicle for hire. You're not driving a vehicle for hire. You're in an automobile. So these types of words, and we were talking about cops at the beginning. I don't know if we got that on the recording or not, but, you know, cops are basically, you know, they are administrators coming out there to try to enforce policies of the commercial world onto non-commercial individuals. That's what they do. So their job is to immediately get you to contract with them. If they get you to contract with them, their hands are clean. But if they pull you over and then they come up to your car and you say, I do not wish to contract with you, you know, tell them that right away, because I know it sounds ridiculous.
I never would have gotten that DWI if I just said no contract. No contract.
Nicely played. Nicely played. Well, I'll tell you what, there is a spiritual aspect to this, which is, you know, you have to be living right in order for, you know, common law.
Amen to that. Amen.
Natural law, God's law. God's law does not work unless you're living right. And again, I don't think buzz is driving. You know, again, my take on that whole thing is that if you don't hurt anybody or anybody's property, you know, is it risky? Sure. But so is texting and driving too, you know?
Yeah, which I think should be illegal as well.
Well, and again, I don't think anything should be illegal. I don't think the government has any right to make laws, okay? But I do think that there's severe consequences for stuff like that. I mean, let's like somebody walking across the road and somebody just doesn't pay attention to a stop sign. You know, legally there was a stop sign there, right? The government said you have to stop at this stop sign, but somebody wasn't paying attention and they run somebody over. So it's not like their laws are going to prevent horrible things from happening. They do happen. You got to pay the piper. But I don't think the government should be.
The laws are say who should be paid, though, right? And it's to find out who was at fault, right?
Like
in
are
that
we talking
scenario,
about legality or law? So law being mens rea law would be, if you injure somebody or their property, then there is a common court tribunal that you would have to decide who is at fault and stuff like that. Then you have legality, which is the commercial side, the commercial side of everything, which is statutes and codes. Okay. And under the guise of meaning well, they have, they put in like 30,000 new statutes and codes a year. Every year. That's a lot. They have, millions of them out there that they don't necessarily use, but they can use them anytime they want to, which is why if they want to get you, they're going to get you, So, there is a common court tribunal. There's a difference between an Article 1 court and an Article 3 court. There's two court systems out there. Okay. And they are actually banking systems. So justice means equal exchange. So when you go into court for a speeding ticket, that is a commercial transaction. They are trying to debit your account because they're claiming that your fictitious character, Kyle Greer, backwards, all capital letters, broke one of their statutes, and this is the amount that they want to debit from your account in order to bring it bring justice.
Yeah,
so,
eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
There you go. But you going faster than their arbitrarily posted speed limit. For example, that was the court case that I'm involved. I'm still going through it right now, actually. And because we're sending paperwork back and forth, and they're trying to play games around here. And I'm saying, look, even the Supreme Court says I'm a traveler. I was not making money on the highway. They have no right to police travelers on the right of way. That's what the law says. The Supreme Court has actually ruled that if you are not out there conducting commerce on the interstate, they cannot fuck with you. They can't pull you over. And if they do pull you over and you say, no contract, I'm a traveler, I'm not for hire, I'm not driving for hire, then they're supposed to leave you alone immediately. They're not supposed to continue to try to contract with you.
I'm going to try that next time.
Well, and again, what you would do is you would say, I do not wish to contract with you. And they'll be like, what are you talking about? Say, I'm not driving for hire. I'm traveling on the right of way in my automobile. And again, you have to use all the correct words, because if you say I'm a driver, boom, you're admitting that you're driving for hire.
Gotcha.
So you have to use the right words, tell them no contract. And then when they tell you to sign, you write no contract.
Just write the word no contract.
Right, no contract. Or at the very least, if they have a problem, if they give you trouble about that, you make sure you write your name in the correct form. Greer, Mr. Greer, comma, Kyle. You write it that way because Mr. means master. Once you turn 25, you are supposed to be the master of your own affairs at that point, which is what people don't do anymore. We are supposed to claim our birth certificate. You don't want to smell your own burps there. I just noticed.
I'll try to be discreet as possible.
They must be really bad for you to be alone and not want to smell your own burp. Just sorry, everybody out there. I can't help myself. A good joke. Can't let a good joke go by, But, and I lost my train of thought. But, when you're 20, when you're
25.
Yeah, well, you're a what do you call apprentice, then you're a journeyman, and then you're a master. So at 25, you're supposed to be a master of your own affairs, and that's when you're supposed to take over these accounts again. But we weren't taught that because we were subverted into a federal education system that teaches us how to be slaves, rather than a family education system that teaches us how to be the master of our family.
Gotcha.
So this is the process now, is it's like, okay, how do I become a master of my domain, you know? So for me, it's starting to take control of these accounts again. And again, a lot of the people that I study with, they already have their estate EIN number. They're already handling some of these things and using some of these forms. And then you get a foreign grantor's trust EIN number, which is a 98 or 99 series EIN number that is a non-withholding number. You open up a bank account that is a non-interest bearing, non-insured bank account. That way it's not regulated by the feds anymore. You have a private estate bank account.
Is there any banks that aren't insured? I would
you
think
have to amend your contract with the bank. So any contract you get, you can amend. So if they say you're gonna pay, $5 a month in service fees, and you're gonna shine my shoes, you can go in there and cross out "shine my shoes," cross it out and say, no, I don't agree to that, and then sign it. And so you're gonna pay them $5. You don't have to agree to. In fact, one of my videos just got taken down because I showed people how to amend contracts for if they ever have to get a COVID test, because we were on set a few times and we had to get COVID tests. So I amended my contract, because on that contract, it says we can harvest your genetic sample and we can archive your genetic sample and we can do tests with your genetic sample. Right. And I went, oh, hell no. So I showed people, you got to cross that out, write void, make sure you make it very apparent on that sheet. Then you take a picture of it, make sure you have a copy of it. And because you can amend any contract. So it's important that we amend the contract. So when you go into a bank, you tell them what you want to do. And then at the very end, when they give you the paperwork, you go, no, I do not want any, no federal insurance. And you cross that out.
Have you done this yet?
I just lost some of your voice there.
I said, have you done this yet?
No, because I'm going to get my EIN number for my foreign. Yes. Gotcha. So when I open the bank account, it will be completely private. They will not even have access to look at it.
See, I feel like rich people do that.
Yes, they do. Listen, when Donald Trump says, I don't pay taxes because I'm smart, he's smart. He's being honest.
Yeah.
He's being honest. It's not because he's smart. It's because he has knowledge that the average person does not.
Right. Just
like the 1099-C. Before today, have you ever heard of a 1099-C for canceling debt?
Well, I've only heard of 1099s. That's like no A, B, or C.
And everybody answers me the same way, which is so weird. When I say, before today, have you ever heard of a 1099-C? They never say no. They always say, well, I've heard of it. And it's like, no, just answer the question. Very simple. No. Right. Right. There we go. And then to continue on, yes, we hear about 1099 miscellaneous because it's for income. So what they're trying to get you to do is to claim that you're receiving income, even though we don't understand that the definition of income is not what we think it is. And if you claim to be something, then they'll be more than happy to tax you.
Right. Like, you want to give us money, we'll take it.
Correct. So, and here's another thing I'm doing right now is I'm getting by the end of the month, I drive a Prius, so it's real hard to get gas. Yeah. It's, but I want to get gas because this is the first easiest step. Again, all the gas that comes over here, they don't buy billions of dollars and send it over here. They credit it on what they think the American people are going to use. Okay. It's a corporation. So what you do is you get all of your receipts are actually money. So what you do is you file a 1099-C with your receipts, you cancel the debt of all of those receipts, then you file a 1099-A and you get your money back. Okay. So, and again, I've been listening over and over and over to try to understand this stuff. And I'm finally to the point where I'm ready to do that. Like, that's simple enough. I'm like, I can handle that. You know what I mean? Like trying to figure out how to get a car and not have a registered car and this and that, that's too big. I might even like go to Guitar Center and pick up a new guitar. You know what I mean? I'll file a 1099-C, I'll cancel the debt behind that guitar, and then file a 1099-A and pick up the abandoned property. That's simple. And if you paid for something like you know, if you paid for like gas, then they'll send you a treasury check.
So you'll pay for gas and then they'll just refund you your money in a treasury check. Got it.
Correct. So that's how they set up this debt system. And everybody goes, well, how would they do that? Why would they do that? And the answer is because they're wagering that you're not going to pick up your abandoned property. And what happens in a corporation with leftover money?
They keep it.
They keep it. Yes, they keep it. It goes to all the shareholders. Now, who are the shareholders of all these corporations?
People who
meaning the United States corporation. Who are the shareholders? Who are the shareholders of the United States? The people. That's right. So where are all of our dividends going?
Or this should be going to us, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Where are they putting those though? They're going into our Social Security accounts.
Okay. But they're taking away our Social Security eventually, I'm sure.
Well, again, what they're doing is we have consented to let them be fiduciary, the fiduciary over the accounts, meaning we've allowed them to handle our accounts. We're letting them handle our affairs.
Right.
So if we let them handle our affairs and they say they're only going to give us a couple bucks a month, you told them to handle your affairs. So the idea is to say, all right, I'm not happy with the job you're doing. I'm now going to handle my own affairs, and then you can withdraw is what you need as you go.
Gotcha. It's almost like a service fee, like they're a middleman, like I said earlier. Yeah,
they're a middleman.
Service fee. See, that's where I think that's where the big thing about crypto is like your own bank is like bank yourself is what they're saying. But I'm not really a Bitcoin fan personally. I think Bitcoin. So yeah, I mean, out of the 6,000 cryptos out there, I think Bitcoin is not the one, right? I just think it's like the Atari of cryptos, but the PS5 is coming down the line. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be bigger and better things out there.
Well, and I keep wondering, like, as my friend keeps showing, like the Bitcoin goes up, I'm like, at what point is something got to break? You know what I mean? Like, is it possible it could keep going? Like, where's the true value behind Bitcoin? Like, where's the true value? Like, where's
the true value behind our dollar?
There is none. That is the whole point. Well, I take that back. Back. The true value behind our dollar is the American people, because the American people are the creditor that gives credit to the debt behind that dollar.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
I feel you on that.
Yes. And
but then they could print more and then dilute your value. But we already talked about all that. Anyways.
Yeah, no, they can print more and they can dilute your value. Absolutely. So if you look at a dollar here.
Dude, I want one of those.
So you can see there's a black seal, the black seal of debt, and the green seal of lawful currency. So when you erase the debt, this becomes lawful currency. But right now, the black seal of debt is on there. So this is not lawful money. This is unlawful money. So what you have to do is you have to cancel the debt behind this money. And the only way to cancel the debt is with a 1099-C. That's the only way to do it.
Well, can you do me a favor and mail that to me so I can get a better look at it?
Right. Right. I wish I had a $1 bill, but I mean that's my stash. Yeah, I don't roll around with hundreds like that. So, but you know what? That's another reason I've really got into what are these guys talking about? How do you actually function? I mean, there are ways of actually pulling straight money out, but the idea behind this system is how do we process and cancel debt, get what we need, just like Whole Foods or what do you guys have, like Kroger, you know what I mean? Kroger's a corporation. So you would keep all of your Kroger receipts, and at the end of the month or every 3 months, you know, quarterly, whatever you want, you would cancel the debt of all your food and get the money back. Like that is the way our system is supposed to work. And if everybody did that, it really wouldn't affect us as much about what they're doing to the economy right now, right? Because right now with the economy, they're starved. Those of us that are not plugged into the matrix, that's how they're getting us. You know, they're like, oh yeah, you're not sucking the teat of the great corporation, then, you know, we're gonna put you in your place.
Yeah.
So I mean, because I'm feeling it like nobody's business. It's like, all right, so I've made this kind of my I listen to probably 3 hours a day of lectures, and the same ones, because as he's lecturing, I'm missing 80% of what this guy, it is so the brainwashing that they have done on me to think that this is how money works in this country is so far gone from how things actually work that I am listening to it. I'll listen to stuff 3 weeks later and be like, I missed half of that. Like, how did I miss that? You know, which is why it's taking me so long to try to get to the point of now I'm ready to do this, because I can't do this until I understand it. Because if you do stuff without understanding it, then you might put yourself at risk. Right. And you know, and I get people saying, "Oh, you're looking for a loophole," and I'm like, I'm not looking for a loophole. Okay, I would much rather the economy had just kept doing what it was doing and me keep on working. However, who knows? Maybe this is a blessing in disguise that things crashed and it actually made me really go, you know what was this guy talking about canceling debt? Like that sounds terrific right now.
Right.
I can get my gas, like I can cancel the debt on gas. And then it makes me think like, yeah, how do they put all this food on the shelf and then throw out millions of dollars of food all the time?
Right.
How are they able to do that? Well, if it's not their money, what do they care?
Well, how do businesses ever go out of business then? Like, or large corporations, you know?
Well, I mean, they were just accessing your credit anyway. You mean how if they're accessing all of our credit, why would they ever go out of business?
Yeah, why would they ever go out of business? You know?
Well, I don't know. Maybe if they access your credit and they get stock and they're not able to get rid of, because here's the deal is they have to balance their books at the end of the year, every fiscal year. That's why we have a blowout sale. Everything must go because corporations are not allowed to own any assets. Only the shareholders can own the asset. So anything that's not sold has to be given out to the shareholders. Okay. So they'll move those cars so that they can liquidate them and then put the money out to the shareholders, because at the end of the year, all the balances must be zero for a corporation. They can't have any extra this or that. It all has to balance out zero in the end. So that money has to go out to somewhere. So I mean, and again, I am guessing on how businesses go out. If they're not getting rid of all their assets to where, you know, it's zero, and showing whoever it is they access credit, whoever they have to contact to get the credit access, if they're not able to show them that they're actually moving this stuff, then it doesn't make sense for them to keep giving them credit if they're not able to move a product.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Which would be the ghost cities. Didn't we talk about ghost cities once before?
You talking about in China?
In China. China. There's giant cities. They got the city of Houston.
There's buildings.
It's tremendous. It's fantastic. It's huge. And so in China, you know, they have these huge cities that have been built that are empty. Nobody's living there. I mean, fully functioning plumbing systems, fully functioning electric, street lights that work. I mean, everything is to the T. fully furnished, well, I don't know about furnished, but like finished apartments and finished offices. It's like an empty city. That's why I call it a ghost city. It was even on 60 Minutes. It's not any type of like, well, I heard from this guy no, there's actually video of these giant cities, and there's like 11 or 12 of them. They're huge. And everybody goes, well, why on earth would they build these giant cities? Well, if the corporations are getting all this credit and having this monstrous corporation, they got to get rid of their product somehow, right?
Right.
So if they're in the business of, what would the word be? Not tactiles, no.
Textiles?
Maybe like minerals and lumber, and if they're in the business of building materials or whatever, raw materials, I think I like that. If they're in the business of raw materials, they can't have a whole bunch of raw materials left over. So they send it out to a phony work project. And, and again, that's a guess. I don't know for sure, but because I can't think of any other reason why they would be building these giant cities for no reason whatsoever.
They're expecting a huge population boom, maybe.
Well, you know what? They should just let all the poor Chinese that don't have a place to live move on in there. I mean, those cities hold 10, 15 million people. The city of Houston's really big. You could help a lot of people out.
Totally. We should do, America should do that, except for let people live there. But I mean, you also have, the more I learn about people, the more it's like, because you can't make people make good choices, right? That's the biggest thing, is like, you can't make people choose a decision that's better for them. And if you were to fill people up, like build houses and put people in there, that doesn't mean like it would be all peace and tranquility within that building, right?
Oh, of course not.
And then you would have to send law enforcement or something like that up there. And then that more and more and more money, liabilities, all that kind of stuff. And if the government owns the buildings, they're liable for them as well. And that means that they can make them crappy. And then you as a citizen would sue the government. So therefore you'd be suing yourself. Right. So I don't know, man.
I have no idea the logistics of it. I'm just saying they have a bunch of empty buildings. Like,
yeah, I got you.
Like that's insane to me. So tell me what is it like with COVID in North Carolina?
It's as far as I'm living. So like I was saying, I'm living with my sister and her husband, and her husband's like at high risk. He has some health issues, so we try to be more conservative about how many people we hang out with and all that kind of stuff. And like we didn't have Thanksgiving and we didn't have Christmas like we used to. And at first I was like, oh, the COVID is just like, it's like the flu or whatever. And to a certain extent, I still believe that. I feel so there's a part of me that believes it's specifically engineered to affect certain people or blood types or genes. I feel like it's, especially with the things like the CRISPR and stuff, they have gene editing now. Mm-hmm. It's like, you don't, like the American, like the regular population doesn't find out about that stuff until after it's been on for about a decade, right? So if you're hearing about gene therapy now, that means they were doing it 10 years ago. You're just
right. Oh, longer
like
than that,
yeah. It's like military weapons and stuff like that. Like, oh, we found about this new bomb. Well, they were developing it 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Like it was ready. Like you don't know about it until it's obsolete, pretty much. So I don't like the COVID thing. I feel like it's affecting people because I had a buddy of mine, him and his wife and his son have it, and his son got it from playing basketball, and one teammate gave it to like everybody, right? And then he went home and then he gave it to his parents. So whether it's a new genetically altered flu or whatever, I know that people are getting sick from it, and
But
we've been
isn't that
trying
what
to,
happens every year with the flu?
yeah. I'm with you, bro. I'm with you.
I know. I'm making conversation for the listeners.
Yeah, I got you. So I've been trying to, be conservative about the whole thing. Well, I wouldn't say conservative is a good term. I'm trying to be aware of what's going on, but I don't know, right? I just don't know.
Your volume changed
Is this better?
a little better. It's like you put something over it.
Oh, my thumb. I was holding my laptop up. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I don't have like a platform. I'm trying to sit in front of the window so it's not too dark. It's a slippery slope with this, because I want to be like, yeah, it's nothing but the flu or whatever. But if it's been altered and created in like a lab or something, it's going to be different, right? And they created it a certain way for a certain reason, So I'm trying to like figure it out. Honestly, like when it started going, I was like, look, this is a virus that was created to kill all the old people, right? Because you got baby boomers, not only in this country, but all around the world, right? That are getting paychecks from the government, Social Security paychecks, right? Well, if you can kill a couple million of them, how much money is the government saving? How much money is all the governments around the world saving? Because they all had that same baby boom, right? When they came back from World War II. Right. And you have a huge population of older people that, hey, if I can just wipe them out, I mean, bam, we save money, which I think is a horrible, idea. But, you have to, in war, you have to think who wins is who's willing to do the most horrific thing, right? And that's something that clicked in when I watched, what was it, that movie? Gosh, it's got Marlon Brando. He's like, the horror. What is it? Oh, you know what I'm talking about. It's like Vietnam War.
Yeah.
You're talking about cutting the baby's arms off if they got a vaccine or something. It's like I can't put it in my head right now.
I'm drawing a big blank. I can see
but you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's all about who's willing to do the most horror. So you have to have the imagination of like, what will people go to the links to get control over you and your mind and all this kind of stuff. So I'm trying to figure it out, right?
Well, they demolished 2 110-story buildings and one 47-story building.
Yeah, exactly.
We know they'll do that.
They will do that.
They'll subvert governments and have rebellions that murder millions of people. We know.
Yeah, so they can have opium and oil fields. Like, I'm with, like, we're with you on each other on that, I feel like. But it's
oh yeah. It's
finding if there was a smoking gun, right? It'd be so much easier, but it's so hard to find that smoking gun, to say, this is it. This is why it's going on, or this is what's going on.
Yeah.
If I was a geneticist and I knew more about it, and I didn't go to school for acting, I might have a little bit better chance. but it's I don't know, man. COVID, well, like so I'll go into the country and I'll go into the stores where nobody's wearing a mask at all.
It's amazing.
And I love it, right? And I don't wear, I'm not going to say whether or not I'm wearing a mask, but I, like, around here, I make sure if I go, like, you have to go in. I'm not saying like you have to wear a mask inside Walmart. I went to Walmart today. They say masks are required for entry on the door, right? This says that. So legally in commerce, if I wanted to walk in and they post it as legal, you have to do it by Governor Cooper, who said if companies don't put that mandate on their doors, then they'll shut them down, right? Which is another thing. Like if you, like it's different from Walmart, but if you have a small business, like you don't have the money to fight legally, right? Because it costs a lot of money for court cases. And that's another thing. Like everybody's like, oh, the law keeps us equal. It's like the law does not keep us equal. Like money, like you have to have money to like for lawyers. Like they are not cheap, you know, unless they know they're going to win, or they have a 90% chance of they're going to win, and they know they're going to get that money back. Like there's not a very small percentage of lawyers that are just going to do something pro bono out of the kindness of their heart. You know what I mean? So like it takes so much assets and stuff like that, that the law isn't really there for you unless you have money on a scale such as keeping your business open, because COVID restrictions just closing it down, you know? So
let me chime in on that real quick, which is there is no law. That's the whole trick of this. And yeah, the whole trick of this thing is that there is no law requiring businesses to do this. They cannot shut you down. We have businesses here. We have a few restaurants that are open here that do not require any of that. They don't have masks. They don't have social distancing. They don't have the plexiglass partitions. They don't seat people outside. Like, you know, we can go to these businesses. Now, how are these businesses able to stay open? Well, because there's no law. We've actually called the health department and said, what is a statute or code that you would apply to cite for a citation against a business that doesn't require people to wear a mask? And they're like, well, there is no there is no code. There's no code. Then how can you tell people they're required? Well, that's our guideline. Well, what's that mean? What's a guideline mean? Well, that means that's our suggestion. So a suggestion is a far cry from a law. This is where the propaganda is working. This is where the media is lying to people, and people are doing what the media tells them. This has not been legislated, you know? Like, for example, when I got my speeding ticket, there was a code that they wrote down to attach to speeding. Now, that is a commercial code for a commercial driver, which is the whole other conversation. But the point is that there is a actual legislated code that they can apply to that citation. When it comes to wearing a mask or socially distancing or closing before the sun goes down, or you know, whatever stupid rule they want to tell them, you know, their language saying requirement is not a law. It's not legal either. It's not law as in like natural law, common law, God's law, and it's not legal as in commercial or equity law either. So these people that are complying with ignorance. They're tanking their own business. Now, the other side of this is that if they don't do these measures, a lot of people won't patronize them anyway. In my town anyway, you know what I mean? But there's a big group of us out here called the Healthy American at thehealthyamerican.org, and they're located in Orange County and around. And we find which one of these businesses is staying open and not practicing these insane ridiculousness, because I have a whole nother, you know, view on COVID, and I don't buy into any of this whatsoever. Not a shred of it. It is this idea that this is something bigger than the flu is a hoax, in my opinion. Okay.
Yeah, I think there was some kind of, I mean, I have no idea, but I've seen a statistic lately saying that like the flu and common cold are down 98% or something.
Yeah.
Like that. I'm like,
so is heart disease, so is pneumonia. All of the other things that usually kill people are practically eliminated, you know,
right.
Because now everything is COVID. Everything is COVID. I just went to Florida to visit for a week, and one of my good friends there, her husband's childhood friend of 40 years, is the chief of the fire department. I think he just retired, but just in case, I think he's still working there. I won't say which fire department for the moment, but it's a major one in the Miami metropolitan area. And he said they don't pick anyone up for COVID. He goes, we're picking far more people up than we've ever picked up that are dead or dying. And he said, nobody is dying of COVID. He said, everybody's dying from suicide, murder, suicide, alcoholism, domestic abuse. He said, these are the things that are killing our people. He said, I haven't picked anyone up for COVID. I haven't come up to a house and somebody, I'm dying of COVID. He said, and if you go on a ventilator, you will die.
Yeah.
He said, for the most part, you know what I mean? There's a few exceptions, but most people that insist on being in a ventilator, listen, the patients are often insisting that they be on a ventilator. It's this weird mentality where they want to be involved somehow. They want their sickness to be COVID. It's really odd. People are going in, they're going, I feel awful. It's got to be COVID. And
Right.
doctors are like, it's not COVID. They're like, but check me again. It's got to be. You know, it's so weird how people want this to be COVID. And so then they insist on a ventilator, and the hospitals get $30,000 to put them on a ventilator. So many of the hospitals are like, sure.
But of
You know?
course.
That's it. But of course, you want it, we want it, we all want it. But they have to give you paralytic drugs in order to put you on the ventilator. And when they give you paralytic drugs, a lot of people's bodies cannot handle that, because the people that are sick in the first place are not healthy people.
Right.
Almost everybody that gets sick to the point where it's even remotely life-threatening already has a comorbid condition, meaning they're already very unhealthy. They're already sick. They already have problems.
Yeah.
So I don't know of any healthy people that have gotten, and I'm talking about my 81-year-old neighbor who I tell people, stop calling it COVID. She got the flu. Okay. She got the influenza. Yes. She went and got tested. Yes, it was COVID. She's 81. She shook it. No problem. But she's a healthy woman. She's very active. She's out there doing her thing every day. You know
Right.
what I mean? So she's like, big deal. And that is the majority. Now, do I think it's another strand of flu? Sure. We've had tons of strands of flu, right? They call it all kinds of crazy things. They got millions of people to inoculate themselves for the swine flu or bird flu or blah, 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 blah. There's always a different flu, right? But inevitably, it's a flu. It's flu season. The flu is supposed to be here, but they prepped everybody all summer long by saying, stay out of the sun. Everybody's vitamin D deficient. What's going to happen if you're vitamin D deficient? Your immune system's going to drop. You're going to get sick. You know, and what is sick? What does that mean? If you learn about what it actually means to be sick, it's a cleansing process. That's why we sweat, we shake, our temperature rises, we detox. In many cases, we shit and puke our brains out, right? That's a detox. That's your body doing what it's supposed to be doing because your toxicity level got too high and your immune system got too low because people weren't getting the vitamin D they were supposed to be getting all summer long. I got my vitamin D. I'm perfectly fine.
Yeah, this summer I pretty much lived as if COVID didn't exist like for the most part, you know. I never tried to go into like big groups of people because I spent a lot of time with
I do.
well,
I find the sickest, dirtiest people and I go hang out with them.
I lick their ass.
That's right. I lick every banister I can find.
But I spent a lot of time with my grandparents this past summer. So I try to be more precautious because I didn't want to be the guy that killed your grandparents, right? Because at the time we really didn't I had this sensation of like, oh, this sounds kind of fishy, but
right.
I'm sorry, right? When it comes to my grandparents, it's like I'm not going to be the guy that does that.
Mm-hmm.
I made sure I was safe when I was around them. I've actually seen them a couple of times. I've been banned from seeing them recently from other family members. But you know what? It ain't a law.
It's not.
And,
It's
and if my grandma sends me a text and says she misses me and she wants to see me, you know what's going to happen.
well, and you know what? And that's your grandmother's decision. You tell your
Yeah.
grandmother, like, I'll come see you. If she's the one that asks you, have you quarantined? You know, you can be honest with her. Have you worn a mask? You can be honest with her. But
Yep.
if she doesn't care and she wants to see her little baby boy, then that's nobody else's business. That's
Yeah,
between
that's the way I
you
see it
and
too.
her.
Yeah.
That's your contract with your grandma. That's nobody else's business. And that's what I keep trying to tell people is it's not a law at all. In fact, as many paid scientists as you have on the news, which they're all paid, people don't go on the news for free. They pay them to go and talk. Okay. We know that we're in the business. You get paid money to be on TV. So if they pay someone, and again, what this doctor is doing is he's just the mouthpiece for whoever pays his salary.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he gets government grants to be a scientist. No scientist they don't make money. They get grants. That's how they do business.
Right.
Okay. And doctors usually work for big, giant medical corporations. So whatever the corporation's telling that doctor to say in order to keep his paycheck, the doctor's going to say. Now, I can show you many examples of other doctors who are saying completely opposite things. I had a video removed because I had a medical doctor on there saying, don't get tested. That was part of my, yeah. Well, I went and got tested. I went and got tested, but I told them I would not do a nasal swab. And it was this huge, like, well, do you mind if I ask why? And I said, because things don't go in my nose. Things come out of my nose. And, you know.
Not even your finger?
Not in the public anyway. So, you know, and that's what I told, but it was so fun. They're like, well, I got to call somebody. You know, it was so funny how it was this guy had to call that guy, I had to call that guy. And I said, it's right there on your form. It says oral. There's nasal pharyngeal, oral, and then something else. And I said oral, you know, and so even, and then I had to do another one. I actually went to CVS to do that one. And you drive up in the drive-through and they give it to you. He's like, now just stick it up your nose. I'm like, no, I'm doing oral. He's like, I've never heard of that. And I'm like, that's because, you know what they told me too? The first time I did it and the second time I did it, they said, we'll allow it, but don't tell anybody. I'm like, don't tell anybody. Why wouldn't I? Why? They're like, well, we want people to do nasal because it's more accurate. I'm like, what do you mean it's more accurate? They're like, yes. I'm like, you want me to cover my mouth because you say that droplets will come out of my mouth and infect somebody. But you're telling me the back of my nose, shit doesn't fly out of my nose when I talk. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I talk, I don't have a problem with things coming out of my nose. Like it just doesn't happen.
Right.
So what on earth is the deal with that? So if we're concerned about things coming out of our mouth, oral should be fine. And they're like, well, we may not get a good enough sample. And so I've done oral like 3 or 4 times now and it's fine. But the and I saw your face light up. You're like, I want to say something. Hopefully I'm sure everybody will pick up on that. I can't take it back. But yeah, they took the video down. I had a medical doctor who was saying, don't do it, you know, because this penetration into the back of your head. And I'm always very skeptical. I asked the first doctor, are these swabs specially made for COVID? And she said, no. But then I asked another person, they said, yes, these are all specially made for COVID. Because my concern was I'm actually applying something in
COVID
there.
in your nose. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't like that. So,
yeah.
And who knows if I did it on my mouth and that happened. And
you just spit on it.
You know what? That should be fine. That should be fine. But again, they have all of these mysterious rules that they have. And like I said, there are doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor. They had these emergency room doctors that were talking about how there's no rush on the emergency room other than the normal. If you look up on Google, emergency rooms overwhelmed. You'll find like 2016, 2017, flu is overwhelming the emergency rooms. Like, this is nothing new. Every year that the flu is around, people are running, little sissies are running to the hospital because of the flu. And I get it, because I mean, I'm a man's man, I'm a rugby player. So I'm like, I'm going to tough it out. But when I had the flu for 10 days, it was the first time in 8.5 years in 2018, in January of 2018, I had it for 10 days. And I literally called one of my friends who's a doctor, and I said, I feel like I'm dying. He said, yeah, you got the flu. For 10 days, I shook, I sweated, and I lost 10 pounds. I couldn't eat. And that's what your body does. It takes a lot of energy for your body to digest food. So your body says, I don't got energy for digesting food. Let's just not eat. And I'm like, okay, fine by me. And I cleansed my body, and then I felt great. And then hopefully I won't get sick again for another 8.5 years if I eat right.
One thing I wanted to bring up about the testing thing is, like, I would really want to know who owns the patents for these testings, right? Because I see thousands of people lined up in cars to these free testing sites, and the state's paying for it, right? So it's a guaranteed check, right? And you're talking about thousands of people every day. And I read an article the other day saying that if you're traveling international into the United States, you're going to have to get tested, mandatory, right? So like testing. Nobody's doing this shit for free, right? No. Somebody's making a windfall of money, like absolute crazy money.
Yeah.
And when one of a phrase or a line from a movie, Vanilla Sky, that like sticks out in my head harder than anything. Like, I watched this movie over 100 times because of this line and all this. It's got little secrets in there.
Yeah.
But it says, out of 100 questions, 99% of the times, money is the answer, right? Does he love me? Does he not? That emotion has something to do with those kind of questions. But with anything else in the world, money is the answer of why something is happening or is not happening, right? It's like the intention of people wanting to get money. So I look for who is to gain from all this.
Sure.
Who's making the most money from all this, and then that's your good intention of what's going on. It's like who's profits the most from this whole scenario, and I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair enough. Just like the whole World Trade Center, like who made a whole bunch of money, whoever made the money and made the right moves in order to make that money knew something was coming.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they necessarily did it, but they knew they knew that the buildings were coming down. It was indications a lot of people knew the buildings were coming down. It wasn't just a tiny bit of people. There was actually quite a network of people that are like, okay.
Yeah, it could be like a secret cabal of generations that have been, here since colonial times, that have secret pacts with each other, that know things that others don't. But I'm not one of those people, so I was born poor.
Right. Yeah, no.
I'm still, not rich by any means, even though I'm staying in a pretty nice room.
Even though you're in a room with crown molding.
Yeah. At any time I can be ejected from this place. I have no right to be here. So I'm very precautious still, now that I'm
cautious about what?
I still wear a mask when I go out in public, into stores and stuff like that.
Why?
Why? because I don't lie. And
What do you mean?
so my sister wants me to wear one, right? Because her husband's at high risk,
Oh, right.
right? So I'm not one to say I did something and I didn't do it, right?
Sure.
Even if it goes against other things that I don't believe in or do believe in, I always tell the truth. That's what I mainly believe in more than anything. Because if you don't tell the truth, your reality is skewed and you will be led astray, right?
Yeah.
But I try to tell the truth, or I'm in the process of telling the truth all the time. I don't even tell little white lies. I don't try to exaggerate anything anymore. I try to be as very specific as possible about what I do. And she wants me to wear a mask when I go out into
Okay.
a store or something like that. So I would not
Well, that's the
go
answer
against
to
her
the
wishes.
question. Then why was my sister wants me to wear one, and I'm living here. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
And by me staying here, she actually got me a job too, because I was she didn't get me the job, but she just led me in the right direction of getting the job, right? And I couldn't. She's allowing me to stay here at no rent. I don't pay anything. I've asked her if I can like pay electricity, anything, like give you monthly payments, whatever. And she's like, no, I just want you to save up so you can buy your own place. Like, she is a really good sister. She's my family, right? So I'm going to respect her and her husband as much as possible. So that's the main reason why I wear a mask out in public and stuff. If I wasn't in the situation that I'm in right now, I might be a little bit more rebellious, I guess you could say.
I think that's completely that makes total sense.
Yeah, but with her help, I'm closer than ever to owning my own property than I've ever been in my entire life. Like, it really is just come right now. I'm just waiting to find the right place that I want to go into, right? Because my current job, I'm actually working.
By the way, real quick, I was just looking at my phone trying to find 322, because you were talking about secret packs and secret I mean, there's definitely multi-generational secret societies and stuff like
yes,
that. There's
I believe it.
plenty of litigation or plenty of literature in there. And somebody told me what 322 meant, and it's lost in my many memos here. But basically, it's like Article 3, Section 2, Paragraph 2 of the United States Code, which says the Supreme Court will have no jurisdiction over commercial transactions. Meaning there's no law over commercial transactions. That's the big secret, why they do everything in commerce, because they can get away with everything.
Should have been a lawyer. I should have been a lawyer. And a genealogist or whatever.
What were you saying about your job though? You started laughing. What job did she get you?
Oh, I actually I work for a company that helps very large pharmaceutical companies.
Oh.
So in turn, I'm pretty much working for one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world, right? And my sister, she was like, so I've had a lot of conversations with her about my beliefs.
Sure.
You know?
And they think you're wacky, of course.
Yeah. And she's like, are you, when I applied for the job, she's like, are you going to be all right, working for them? And I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I was like, if anything, if what I believe is true, I'll be able to see it with my own eyes. I'll be on the inside, right? And because it's just speculation until you know.
Sure.
So I'm just I was like, that was my justification for it. But, I got health insurance now. I haven't had health insurance until I was 25, and I got off my parents' health insurance. So it's been over 11 years, and I've never had health insurance. I got dental insurance, the whole shebang, right?
Right, yeah.
And I'm working now when if I was doing what I was previously doing, I was doing waiting tables and stuff like that, working catering stuff. Like all my friends that are still doing that are not working right now
No.
because it's like completely wiped out. So
They don't need to work though. They got stimulus checks just tripping over.
yeah, but that stimulus check gets 1 month of rent, right?
That's right.
Yeah, that's just your rent. That's not like you got
That's
a food.
just 1 month.
Yeah, it's not like your car payment, your insurance payment. Like some of my friends, like they have to have health insurance, because they have pre-existing conditions and all that kind of stuff, and they have to pay that every month.
Yeah.
And they're hurting, dude. They're hurting. A lot of people are hurting, but I feel like I was very blessed to have left when I did and had the opportunity that I've had so far. But it took me like a lot of just opening my mind and just like saying, hey, I need to make a change. I need to look down the road. And I'm still auditioning. I'm still doing acting stuff.
Sure.
I had a couple auditions for a new show called Dope Sick on Hulu. And it's about the heroin epidemic that recently has been going on. Go figure, they want this skinny white guy to play a heroin addict or a heroin dealer. That's
right.
It's like,
really?
That's not something I really want to do. Like I want to be like a superhero or something,
Sure.
No, hey, you guys looking for some drugs? I don't want to be that guy, but but that character needs to be, for any story, you always have to have some kind of heel, you can.
Sure. Yeah.
And the heel has to exist in the story for it to have some sort of meaning. So I understand, like, that's my acceptance of that as too. But I've actually had more auditions in North Carolina. Like I said, I already told you earlier, I've had more auditions here than I had in California. It's crazy. And I think it's more just because I got my teeth,
That's right.
But
North Carolina with a full set of teeth.
Yeah, but my dream is to like buy a house with some land, have some chickens and some alpacas and a garden, like do it all, bro. That's what I want. And that'd be almost impossible unless I got booked on a major role, and from what I've come to understand, it's like you have to sacrifice a lot more than just your time to get to a certain level. Sure. Right?
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of things that you have to do, like the whole Harvey Weinstein thing. Like that was like eye-opening, because I remember before all that happened, like I'd see the Weinstein opening credit thing on a movie, and I was like, oh man, it's gonna be good. I want to be on a Harvey Weinstein movie one day. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, you mean you got to like do things that you wouldn't think would be morally right just to get to where you want to be. You have to sacrifice your body and your morals just to get money. It's like, how much is this money? How important is this money to me? Right. To get a nice car, to get a nice house. Like, is it
I got
that
me
important?
too'd out here. And I was doing a job with Dude Man, and we got basically booted off a show by a woman that I wasn't reciprocating what she wanted.
Right.
And that was hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like that would have been life-changing for us. And it, she put the kibosh on that, and I was just like, and that was right.
You got to make those choices, and that's like a line in the sand, right? Like, are you going to cross that line? And then once you cross that line, though, you can come back, but it's harder, to redeem yourself. Mm-hmm. And it leads down a path like I didn't want to go, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. And if you believe you have a soul, right? A lot of people believe they don't even have a soul. They believe they're just going to die and then that's it. But I believe that I have a soul, and it carries on far beyond after my death.
Absolutely.
So all those
Those-
beliefs, changing that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what happens after our death, but
Yeah,
I bel-
I haven't died yet, so I don't know.
And that's what I say. You talk to my mom though, and she'll tell you, "Oh, Kyle, we know what's going to happen. It's in the Bible."
Yeah, dude. The main thing that made me leave Los Angeles is that I read the Bible, and I read it. And like you said, you're talking about that gentleman. You listen to these lectures, and it takes you so many times to listen to the lectures to like really, because how did I miss that last time? Like for me, that's how the Bible was. It's like I read it once, and I was like, whoa, and then I read it again. I was like, whoa. I read it again. I was like, whoa, and I read it again. I was like, whoa. And people before then, I would never take the time to dive that deep into something, right? And I mounted to, for me personally, I mounted it to like, I was in a prison cell. Somebody handed me the key. Like I've had a Bible ever since I graduated high school that has my name on it, right? Somebody handed me the key to the cell and I refused to open the door and walk out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you just got to make that choice to say, I don't want to be in prison no more, and like take the key, unlock it.
What was it
walk
that
out the
made
door.
you decide? What was it that you found in the Bible that made you decide to leave Los Angeles?
It corrected my value system. So like I said earlier, it's like in my mind, it's like, I just need to make a bunch of money. I'll be happy. Right. Look at Robin Williams. Look at Who Could Have Been Killed. Anthony Bourdain, that Spade lady, the designer lady, billionaire, killed
I think they're
herself.
all hanging out with Michael Jackson and Kobe Bryant in the Antarctica. So
Yeah, well, possibly, but just the fact that like money, like having a lot of money is going to help you. Yes, I want to get to a place where I'm comfortable, where I don't stress about money, right? But I don't see myself ever not working. I want to always be doing something. And
Sure, of course.
my epitome of success for me personally would be able to finance my own movies about my own subjects that I wanted to do, so nobody can say, you can't make that, you can't say that, because that's where it comes down to. It's like whomever is writing the checks is has the authority, right? Whoever has the money has the authority. The golden rule is who has the gold makes the rules, right? that's what I've come to realize. And like the Bible was there's just so so one thing I never knew that the Torah, right, is the Jewish Bible. That's the Old Testament, almost word for word. So you're not only learning about Christianity, you're also learning deep about Judaism as well. You're getting a 2-for-1 when you read the Bible, right? And those, like, I mean, that it's probably a whole nother 2 hours I can get into that thing, which I can't really do today because I got to roll out in about 20 minutes. But that, like, when you really like read something and like understand something, it's, I don't know, man. It just,
I think you can have
just an accumulation of what is out there in the real world and what's written in the book, and like seeing the duality of it all. Sorry.
No, not at all. And that's the line of thinking I wanted to hear from you. Is there a specific area in the Bible that you think influenced you the most?
Well, the New Testament, right?
What specifically area of the New Testament?
Well, there is no like specific scripture. Like you could, if you want to get specific.
Area. Like, is there a specific chapter? Is there a specific person?
Jesus. I know.
There we go.
You're talking about Jesus.
So,
you're talking about Jesus, but
okay.
The teachings of Jesus. Like,
there you go. That's what
compassion.
Yeah.
Is it, dude? Compassion is where it's at.
Yeah.
Jesus teaches you to be compassionate, in which that is uh, uh, a symbol of your soul is compassion. It is it. Like your soul is compassion, which makes you a part of Jesus and his teachings. But he also teaches you to, like, you're supposed to turn the other cheek, right? That's if somebody offends you. But if somebody's trying to kill you and trying to hurt you, Jesus teaches you that if you do not have a cloak, if you do not have a sword, sell your cloak and buy a sword. Like he would rather you be a naked man able to defend yourself than comfortable, right? And people don't read the Bible. I didn't. Well, I'm not going to say people. I didn't read the Bible, right? And it wasn't until like I started reading it and listening to it a lot. I would listen to it on the audiobooks a lot, so because I can wash clothes, take a drive or whatever, and it's still like feeding into my ear. Just like if you're listening to Nicki Minaj and all that shit's going in your head, right? That's the shit that's going to be coming out of your mouth too, right?
Right.
So if you're listening to stuff that's good for your thoughts, good thoughts are going to come out of your mouth. If you listen to stuff that's bad for your thoughts, bad shit's going to come out of your mouth, right? You're being programmed, right? It's a computer program for your brain to make things better if you use it in that way. But people can also use it to obstruct, by the way of their interpretation of the Bible, which if you don't read it enough, you don't know it, and you just take somebody's word for it. And that's where I think a lot of Christians, personally myself, I called myself a Christian, but I really didn't become a Christian, like a true Christian, until I knew the word, right? And you have to know the word to know, to understand. You just can't take somebody's word for it. Well, I personally can't.
No, I don't think you can take anybody's word for it either. And, I grew up with church, and I went to Christian middle school, Christian high school, Christian university. And then I got out of the church for a while, like 13 years. And then I went back to the church, and then I realized the business of the church. And then I went from a giant church to a tiny church, and it was still the same business. And then I kept, I knew there was something I needed from, having a spiritual connection with whatever created this place that we're in, and then have some faith. We use the word God because it's familiar to us.
Right.
But God was a word given to us by man.
Right.
But as I started really, looking at this book that they follow, I started to realize what a control mechanism it was used by the church, because this last church I went to, the pastor was part of the crisis pastoral team for the city of Santa Monica. And I went, oh, well, what's that? Turns out that the crisis pastoral team for the cities are groups of pastors there to tell the sheep to get in line.
Yeah.
The city tells them to do stuff that is morally wrong, like get a vaccination. Oh, well, we should listen. So I told him, I said, well, what if they tell us to do something that's, morally wrong? And he, of course, whips out Romans 13, submit to authority. And I went, really? Even though that authority is man? And he's like, yeah, but somebody put that person in authority. And I'm like, no, sorry. I don't jive. I'm like,
the devil.
The devil. I'm like, the United States is a corporation, and they have assumed authority, but they're not the authority over me. God alone is the authority over me. And we're all our own man, that we're supposed to present ourselves, just like court. We're not supposed to be represented by somebody else. We're supposed to be able to have the knowledge to present ourselves in the first place. That's part of what I'm studying too. That's why I study common law, natural law, God's law. That's the law I need to study, rather than to get caught up in the corporate equity system of commercial law, legality, the bar system, the bank authorized representative, So, that being said, I always respect people's views where they're at with the Bible, because there was, for a long time, I just believed the Bible as it was written, but it's it's my opinion now that the Bible is a metaphorical book. It's full of metaphors. Now, it doesn't mean that if you just strictly take the words of Jesus, yeah, man. I mean, he's telling you how to do unto others as you would have done unto you. I mean, yes, there's like, I mean, it's common sense, you know. It is a man who is enlightened on how to live a life of service. You give to other people and you be blessed in return. And that is the way that the world is supposed to work. But you could cut out everything else that isn't written in red and have a spiritual transformation just with those words right there. I think everything else outside of those words is and this is my opinion, you know, and I know a lot of Christians get really bent out of shape, like my mother. You know, I believe that Jesus was a man who was enlightened, who was giving knowledge to people like you and I give knowledge to people, and they think we're wacky, right? Now, imagine you have more knowledge than the next person about how to really navigate, say, the IRS in the currency situation, right? Because what did Jesus do? He went in there and he overturned the tables of the tax collectors.
Yep.
Okay.
And he also talked about the taxes that they took was the same tax for rich people and poor people. So if a pence if it was like one coin for a rich man and a poor man, that one coin is so much more significant for the poor man than the rich man, but they're still getting the same tax.
Right. So, I mean, again, I think everything is spoken in metaphors. These stories are to tell us something. The Bible was written by like 40 different authors. They put $1 billion behind it. King James, a king, put $1 billion in that day's money behind all these scholars putting together all these books of the Bible.
The Council of Nicaea.
What's that? The Council of Nicaea?
Yep, Nicaea. That was the meeting where they created the Bibles, and they chose what books would go in and what books would not be in there. So there's more information out there that could have gone in there. Like I've seen Harry Potter books. I know the Bible could be thicker. You know, I know books can be thicker. You know what I'm saying? But they chose to not put everything in there, right?
Yeah, I think it was carefully constructed that way.
Oh yeah.
And have you ever seen The Invention of Lying?
No.
Ricky Gervais?
No, I have not.
It is spectacular. It is really well put together. And again, at first your Christian spidey sense goes off like, oh, this is against Christians. But when you just listen to it with an open mind and you're like, like, again, where I'm at now in my journey, like I said, I used to have to memorize the Bible for school. Like that's every year, memorize. Because they don't want you to think about it. They want you to memorize what it's telling you, you know, and they tell you what it's telling you,
right?
You know, the God that I understand is simple. Okay. He's not complex like that. You know, this whole idea of 3 in 1, I have a conversation. The top of people's heads fly off when I start to have a conversation with them because they can't explain what 3 in 1 actually means. I say the Trinity. I said, what? Jesus was hanging on the cross. He said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. I said, was he talking to himself? You know, I'm like, they're like, well, no, he was talking to God, his Father. I said, but he is God, his Father. Well, no, but he was as a man. And I said, yeah, but he was a man. So that means he was now on earth. So who the hell was he talking to? You know, and
I got you. Can I interrupt you?
Yeah. Go.
All right, sorry. So I totally have dug into that as well. And that's something that bothered me a lot as well. But the way I interpret it personally is that I am my father, right? My father helped made me. It was his seed that sparked the divine split of the cells within my mother's egg that created me, right? I am my father. I'm a part of my father's a part of me.
Correct.
Right? But I am not my father.
Correct.
So that's the way I see it. Like,
well, yeah, but you guys are both mortal. You're talking about a mortal body.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not talking about spirits.
The spirit lives within the mortal body though, right?
right? But there's no each of our spirits. There's no genetic attachment, is what I'm saying, between spirits.
I got what you're saying. Yeah.
So, and again, I appreciate that. I hear you. Like I was saying before, when you write your name, you have the Father, the Son, and then the ghost name, right? And that also goes along with you have the Father, you have the Son, and then you have your fictitious creature of law, Social Security person. That's the ghost.
Gotcha.
So when you talk about the Trinity, that's where the three are for the Trinity. You have Kyle, you have the birth certificate, the certificate of live birth, and then you have your Social Security person. So there's three of you in one. I believe the Bible was basically a banking book that has metaphors in there because a lot of the stuff has money. It talks about the servants, you know what I mean? And it's, Jesus saying, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Okay. All right. So, the American credit is different than the Federal Reserve note. If you use a Federal Reserve note, that is a form of usury. Therefore, it is classified as income. Then you have to pay tax on that. But if you use your American credit and your labor, that is not Caesar's. So you do not have to give to Caesar what is not Caesar's.
Right.
So, and I think the Bible was written, it's sort of like they have to give us the truth about stuff, and like in movies, there's all kinds of truth drops, right? So when we go into court and we go, I have my constitutional rights, and they go, shut up or we'll throw you in contempt. They're like, we already told you the truth. So to them, they're clear and free because they already told us the truth. And it's my opinion that the Bible is full of those little truths. If we can separate them from the literal meaning that the indoctrinated pastor is trying to tell us what it means.
Right.
Like, again, the servants, they talk about the servants, like tithings, for example, tithings, right? There are, well, that's a bigger subject. I know you're on somewhat of a time, but I believe they manipulated what tithings means in order to get people to pay, when the truth is, it is what we are supposed to get out of our credits. They are causing 10 times the amount of inflation. So when you cancel debt, you have to cancel 10 times the amount of debt in order to get your payment back. So gotcha. I feel, but again, the spiritual transformation one can have by reading the way Jesus teaches us to treat one another. I think it's profound, and I think everyone should read the Bible. And and again, I think Jesus was an enlightened man. He was sharing knowledge with people about how the money system really worked and how they were all being screwed. And I think eventually that's what ended either he left and they made up this story about, the demise, or maybe they actually did, kill him. But I think more along the lines of, I think the story of like the crucifixion is him dissolving his contracts with the government. I think it was more metaphorical. But again, nobody was there. Everybody wants to say it was based on historical scrolls, although we already know that history is written by the winners.
Yeah, right.
So what do we actually know?
That's if you actually believe in God and stuff like that. And I would say the majority of people in the world don't. Personally, I mean, I haven't taken a survey.
Right. The majority, yeah, it's probably the majority.
But I would say the majority of people, and it's become. I feel like I don't know if there are being more Christians spiritually made. Because I don't believe that a Christian is born. Like, you're not born a Christian. Like, you have to accept Christ into your life. But yeah, I agree. I think I need to end it on that.
Okay. Yeah.
I got another meeting. So you ever heard of this comedian Owen Benjamin?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, he started this this whole bear thing,
Yep.
where it's like, you know what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
But they're actually having a bear meetup in Raleigh today for any people that watch his show or anything.
Yeah, yeah.
And I gotta make it out there. I was supposed to start at
Interesting.
2, but I was like, I could be late. It's no big deal.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm interested to hear about that. Yeah, I used to listen to Owen quite a bit actually, and I kind of feel like he might be part of the control system. Just some of the stuff he
Yeah,
says.
yeah. I'm
Um,
with you. He drops, like, at first he was like not reading the Bible. He was talking all this biblical stuff and not really, you could tell he didn't read the Bible, right? But now he's telling people to read the Bible. I feel like at certain times I feel like he is like he's controlled our positions. Sometimes I feel like he's controlled our positions. Sometimes I feel like he's genuine, but it's hard to decipher, right? Because you still so you have Twitter and Facebook and all these, and Instagram, all these like huge conglomerates that own their own servers and are pushing out their own message, right? But you also have to have not only an opposition, like you have to have your own a message to help people get the message out there, what you believe is to be truth, right?
Mhm.
If you really want to help people, like you really want to help them save themselves or save their souls. So I'm trying to figure that out. Like I'll listen to him for a couple episodes and then I'll take a break when he starts getting too weird. And usually it's this aggression that he has that makes me divert from him, And I'm like, dude, something's up, right?
yeah, there's a couple of my brother-in-law was the same way. He's the one that first was like, "Hey, you gotta listen to this guy." So I started listening to the guy, and at first I was like on board, and then I'm like, there's some, I forget what it was, but there was a couple incidences that made me go, no, something's up with this guy. Something.
Yeah.
And then my
I'm trying
brother-in-law
to figure
later
out.
on, he said the same thing.
But I don't want to write out anybody unless I
Sure.
really know, right?
Right?
Or make a judgment unless I feel as I have considerable proof.
Right.
So I feel like, investigating this situation is worth a little bit of my time.
I like it.
But yeah, I do like his message of, farm
Yeah.
your own food, have
Community.
kids, be fruitful and multiply. That's one thing I don't like about the Catholic Church is their priests don't have children. It's like,
Right.
God says, be fruitful, multiply.
Yeah.
What in the world is this up with this stipulation where you don't have kids and you go worship God? You worship God by having children and teaching them about God.
If you
That's what
study
you
the
do.
pagan religions, you see all the pagan symbology in the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
The Pope carries a sun staff for crying out loud. And then I get further into people and I say, well, when was Jesus born? And people are like, well, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, sure it does. I said, this is your Messiah. This is the most important thing in your entire life. I said, when was he born? And they're like, well, nobody knows. And I'm like, well, how do they know all this other stuff, but they don't know when he was born? I said, but who chose the 25th of December, which is the winter
pagan
solstice, by the way? It's the biggest pagan holiday. So who would choose to celebrate the birth of this Messiah on the biggest pagan holiday? The Catholic Church chose it. I'm like, well, why would the Christians allow the Catholic Church to choose the biggest pagan holiday to celebrate the birth of their Messiah? I'm like, you guys, we gotta think logically
And
about
Easter too. Easter,
yeah,
with the bunnies and all that kind of stuff. It's all pagan.
Yeah.
Christmas tree.
And it's tied in intimately with the Bible. So can we just believe that the Bible is a book of the word, or is it a manufactured, book of man with some good stuff in it?
Yeah.
So I guess we'll have to have a whole 2 hour on that one alone, huh?
I'm down.
Yeah, me too, man. Well, have fun with the Bears. And do you still do the what we believe at all? Have you done one?
I did one last year with my mom about the COVID stuff when it was starting to come out. Because she's a healthcare professional. She goes to all these these meetings about, what's going on with the COVID, like as
All
far
the
as like the
indoctrination
authority,
Yeah.
the scientific authority. So
Yeah.
I love that shit.
Yeah.
But I haven't done one in a while. But I've been like thinking like, oh my God, I need to get this. I need to get this like back on, back in the program, start doing them more. Cause I miss saying, what do you believe?
Yeah. What do you believe?
And I really appreciate you inviting me to your channel and letting me speak with you, because it's inspired me to like get back into it and carry it on, because I had a wonderful time today.
Likewise, man. I can't believe we waited this long. It's crazy, but yeah, it's always good to hear different opinions and be challenged on different thoughts and share new thoughts with one another too. So yeah, man, thank you so much for showing up and just telling me what you're up to in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll go check out I'll check out your mom's. Go see what mom has to say. And,
Dude, you should. I'll send you a link.
Yeah, send me a link for sure. And I'll put that link in the bottom there. So that way, because I know it's hard to find your channel. Just like me, people are like The True Thor, and they'll search and search and search, and they can't find it. And and I remember when I went to look for our show, I couldn't find it either until I had a link from you. So
even if you type in the exact thing, like it doesn't come up.
Nope. They don't want people to hear it. So yeah, I'll put a link in the bottom. And thanks, brother. I appreciate you. And let me know how the bear thing goes.
Will do. And I hope Dude Man gets to feeling good.
Oh, thanks, man.
Dude Man.
He's coming along. We're gonna go for a hike here in a minute and get his little legs stretched out. So
Word.
All right. Have a great day. I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Yeah. God bless.
Okay, brother. You too. Bye-bye.